I knew he was lying the second I hugged him. Not because of what he said, but because of what he smelled like. The scent clung to his shirt like betrayal. Faint, sweet, and unmistakably tropical coconut laced with something synthetic. Not the earthy musk of his usual cologne, not the sterile tang of an Uber. It hit Elena the moment she leaned in her cheek, brushing his jacket. She held the hug a second longer than necessary, inhaling it again just to be sure. Coconut. Not his scent. Not their home. Derek stepped back with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Traffic was hell, he said, tossing his keys into the ceramic dish by the door. I should have taken the canyon. Elena nodded. Didn't argue. Didn't ask. Because this wasn't the moment for questions. This was the moment for memory. What day was it? What time? What shirt did he wear? Later, she would label this entry in the folder. March 15th. Scent discrepancy. Suspected cross-contamination from foreign fabric or person. She would take a screenshot of Marissa's Instagram post, Solo Beach Reset, and zoom into the reflection on her sunglasses. And there he was. The frame. The gold watch. The ghost of his presence where he swore he wasn't. But in that moment, she poured the wine. Sipped it. Let it coat her tongue like a seal. And thought, if I couldn't trust them, then I'd trust myself even if they all call me crazy. I knew he was lying the second I hugged him. Not because of what he said, but because of what he smelled like. The scent clung to his shirt like betrayal. Faint, sweet, and unmistakably tropical coconut laced with something synthetic. Not the earthy musk of his usual cologne, not the sterile tang of an Uber. It hit Elena the moment she leaned in her cheek, brushing his jacket. She held the hug a second longer than necessary, inhaling it again just to be sure. Coconut. Not his scent. Not their home. Derek stepped back with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Traffic was hell, he said, tossing his keys into the ceramic dish by the door. I should have taken the canyon. Elena nodded, murmured something noncommittal, then turned toward the kitchen. The vanilla candle had burned low on the countertop, a puddle of wax gathering like silence in the soft yellow glow. She picked up the wine bottle hands, steady voice even. Red or white, red, he replied, already loosening his tie. Long day. She poured 2 glasses. The scent of coconut hadn't left. It clung stubborn like the feeling she couldn't shake off, the one that buzzed beneath her ribcage, subtle and sharp. Her sister Marissa had once rolled her eyes and said, "You overanalyze everything. No wonder you're exhausted." Maybe. But maybe that was why Elena noticed the fracture lines before anyone else even saw the glass. They sat on the couch side by side, but not touching. The TV flickered mutely in the background. Derek swirled his wine eyes on the screen. Elena held her glass eyes on him. "You smell different," she said casually, like commenting on the weather. He blinked. "Do I? Yeah, like coconut." Derek gave a short laugh. "Oh, must have been the Uber. One of those air fresheners that tries too hard." She tilted her head. "Uber." He nodded. "Yeah, the car smelled like a beach gift shop." Elena took a sip, the wine dry against her tongue. "You didn't drive, I figured I'd be too tired. Didn't want to risk it." Another sip. Another lie. Later, when he had gone upstairs, brushing her temple with a kiss that felt like a placation, Elena stayed behind. The living room hummed with the quiet of someone who couldn't sleep. She set her wine glass down, still half full, and reached for her phone. Marissa's Instagram had updated just hours earlier a photo of her in a wide-brimmed hat, lounging on a sun chair, captioned, "Solo Beach Reset." No boys allowed. The image seemed innocent, carefree. Sunlight glossed over her shoulders. But what caught Elena's attention wasn't her sister. It was the sunglasses. Zooming in, Elena spotted the faint silhouette reflected in the lens, partially obscured, but clear enough to freeze her breath. A familiar frame, broad shoulders, a watch she had gifted last Christmas. Derek. Her pulse kicked. She stared at the photo longer, her thumb trembling slightly as it hovered over the screen. She thought about asking again, pushing, demanding the truth. but she already knew how that conversation would go. Him laughing it off her mother's voice, cutting in from 1,000 miles away. Don't let your imagination ruin your marriage, Elena. Men need space. You're going to drive him away? Elena called anyway. The phone rang 3 times before her mother picked up. Sweetheart? Elena hesitated. Do you ever think I see things that aren't there? Her mother sighed. Honey, you've always had a vivid mind. It's what made you a great student. That's not an answer. Another pause. Elena, don't let your imagination ruin your marriage. There it was, as rehearsed as a lullaby. She ended the call gently. No words, no fight, just silence. By the time the clock blinked 11:14 p.m., Elena was seated at her desk, the rest of the house asleep. Her fingers hovered over her laptop keyboard. Then, with a slow, deliberate breath, she opened the folder labeled Truth. She hadn't touched it in years, not since law school. Inside was a blank document titled Case File 01. She typed March 15th. Suspected overlap. Need timeline proof. Then she dragged and dropped the screenshot of Marissa's Instagram photo beneath the line. Saved. Closed. The glow of the screen faded into black. Downstairs, the scent of coconut still hung in the air like a whisper no one else could hear. If I couldn't trust them, then I needed to trust myself, even if they all call me crazy. She always left her purse half open like she had nothing to hide. Turns out she just thought I wouldn't look. The leather gleamed under the hallway sconce, buttery beige slouched at the base of the coat rack like it belonged there, as if it hadn't just traveled 2 hours down the coast with a secret folded neatly inside. Elena's fingers brushed the edge of the bag as she passed on her way to the guest bathroom. Her footsteps had been light quiet, but her heartbeat thundered. Her sister's voice still echoed from the dining room. It was the best solo trip I've had in ages, just me, ocean breeze, and a stack of bad romance novels. They had all smiled at dinner. Everyone. Even Richard the stepfather, who barely spoke, had managed a grunt of mirth when Derek cracked a joke about wifely wisdom. Gloria had laughed too, tilting her head just so her pearl earrings, catching the light like truth carefully avoided. But Elena had watched more than she'd eaten. She'd studied the way Derek's hand tightened around his fork when Gloria said, "Some people really should learn to forgive and forget." She'd caught Marissa's glance when Elena excused herself. A flicker too fast to name, but there. The bag was open. Not wide, just enough for a careless receipt to peek from the inner pouch. Elena paused, not breathing, then slipped 2 fingers inside. Santa Barbara Grand Resort, room 314, 1 king bed, 2 nights, March 16th or 18. Checkout 11:06 a.m. She stared at the printed paper. Her stomach lurched, not from shock, but confirmation. That dangerous calm that came from knowing you weren't crazy after all. She folded the receipt back exactly as she found it and slid it into her pocket. No rustle, no trace. Then flushed the toilet for good measure, washed her hands, and returned to the table with a smile. Everything okay? Gloria asked, pouring tea with 2 hands as if maternal grace required a performance. Perfect, Elena replied. She sat beside Derek and reached for a biscuit. The rest of dinner blurred into surface pleasantries, talk of renovations, spa packages, and Derek's fake enthusiasm over refinancing options. When Elena excused herself again, this time with Derek in tow, they were kissed on both cheeks and told, "Come back soon. Don't be a stranger." By 9:04 p.m., she was barefoot in the kitchen, the light above the stove casting blue shadows. Her phone buzzed in her palm. She called Marissa. "Hey, you, Marissa," answered Chipper. "Miss me already? I found a receipt in your purse," Elena said. Her tone was flat, cold steel drawn slowly. Silence. "I was looking for tissues." Elena lied smoothly. Didn't expect to find proof. "You went through my stuff." The voice cracked, rising in pitch. "Wow, Elena. That's violating. I just want to know if you were alone." Of course I was. Marissa's breath hitched. "Why are you doing this? You always think the worst of me. Always have. It's like you need there to be something wrong so you can play the martyr." Elena didn't answer. "Is this because I'm closer to Mom? Because I've moved on and you're still stuck analyzing everyone's tone of voice?" Click. She hung up. The phone dropped beside her laptop as she opened the truth folder again and began typing beneath the first entry. March 19th. Hotel receipt, Santa Barbara Grand. Same weekend as Instagram post. Solo trip. Confirmed lie. Her hands trembled, but not from fear. Rage was more stable now, simmering, organizing itself. She uploaded a photo of the receipt, then screenshotted the Instagram post again, this time highlighting the metadata. Then she messaged Jade Monroe. You believe me, right? The typing dots blinked for a long moment. I believe the truth. Let's get proof. The words hit like a jolt to the spine, warm, sharp, aligned. Elena breathed out slowly, the pressure in her chest finally shifting. The house around her was quiet. Derek had gone to shower, his hum echoing faintly through the walls. The scent of coconut was gone tonight, replaced by something sterile. But the evidence lingered where it mattered, digital, physical, time-stamped. If they were going to gaslight me, I'd light the whole house up myself, starting with that receipt. He didn't ask me why I suspected them. He asked me what kind of evidence I wanted. The coffee shop sat like a secret in the corner of Los Feliz brick facade. Fogged windows, and inside the quiet murmur of espresso machines and whispered betrayals. Elena arrived 15 minutes early. Folder clutched to her chest, heart tapping out a rhythm between her ribs like it was preparing for trial. The man in the back corner was already there, though she hadn't noticed him at first. Damian Cruz didn't lean into the light, he absorbed it. Collared shirt sleeves, rolled fingers drumming once against his ceramic mug. His gaze lifted as she approached, unreadable but not unfriendly. Jade followed 2 steps behind, silent but solid. She slid into the seat beside Elena, crossed one leg over the other, and offered a small nod to Damian. No introductions, no small talk. Elena placed the folder labeled Truth on the table. It made a soft thump as if something heavier than paper had landed. Damian looked at it, then at her. You want a case, he said? Or revenge? Elena met his eyes. Both, but the kind that sticks. He flipped open the folder. Inside screenshots, printouts, time-stamped images from Instagram. The hotel receipt. A spreadsheet of inconsistencies Elena had compiled like an attorney arguing with herself. She watched his eyes track across the evidence, slow and methodical. No furrowed brows, no comments. Just the sound of a latte machine steaming in the background and Jade's quiet breathing beside her. After a while, he spoke. This is circumstantial. Not bad, but not court-proof. I know, Elena said. That's why I called you. Damian leaned back slightly, his hand grazing the folder's edge. Financial records, GPS logs, hotel security cameras. That's where we start. Elena exhaled. How long will it take? That depends on how careful they were. From beside her, Jade shifted. You ready to play the long game? Elena smiled, the first real one in days. I've been playing it. Now I'm changing the rules. Damian nodded once. Good. You'll hear from me in a week. They stood. Elena shook his hand, firm and brief. Jade offered a soft thank you, and then the 2 women stepped back into the sunlight, blinking against it. The days that followed passed in fragments, work silence, Derek's attempts at normalcy. A hand on her waist. A question about laundry detergent. Elena moved through it like a ghost, keeping her voice steady and her eyes sharper than ever. Every night she checked the folder. Every night she waited. March 28th. 8:03 p.m. Her phone buzzed. Damian Cruz, 6 files. Tell me where to send them. She answered immediately. Minutes later, her inbox filled 6 attachments numbered no subject line. Her fingers trembled as she opened the first. Derek standing in the lobby of the Santa Barbara Grand. Second photo. Marissa beside him, head-tilted hair curled. Her hand brushed his sleeve. Third, the front desk clerk handing them a single keycard. Fourth, them walking away, shoulders brushing. 5th timestamp, March 18th. 2:07 p.m. Elena's wedding anniversary. 6th room, 314. The door closing. Her pulse slowed. It didn't crash or spike, it just stilled. As if her body had known all along and was finally allowed to exhale. She sent one message to Jade. Got them, all 6. Jade. What now, Elena? They stole my marriage, my trust, and my name. Now I was taking back all three, starting with the last one. They picked my birthday to tell me I should forgive them. I picked it to destroy their narrative. The room smelled of peonies and deceit. Candlelight flickered across mirrored walls, casting a soft, expensive glow over the long dining table dressed in linen and silver. A waiter poured wine with a practiced grace. Laughter drifted like perfume light floating rehearsed. Elena sat at the head of the table, a vision in black silk and unspoken truths. 35 today. The number meant nothing, but this stage meant everything. Gloria clinked her glass. To Elena, she said, smiling with all her teeth, "You've always been the heart of this family." Elena smiled back. "That's generous of you, Mom." Across the table, Marissa leaned in. Her lashes curled like a weapon lips painted with some shade called Rose Redemption. "We're so glad you agreed to this," she cooed. "It's been too long since we were all together, really together." Derek's hand found Elena's knee under the table. She didn't flinch. He whispered, "You look beautiful tonight." She looked at him and said, "Truth always looks good on me." Jade raised her glass, quiet, unreadable. Sitting 2 seats away, she watched everything the angle of Marissa's hand as it gestured the tension in Gloria's jaw when Richard failed to laugh on cue. And near the wall, a waiter moved silently, eyes scanning. Damian Cruz in full uniform, white shirt, black vest, silver tray, and a purpose. The plates were cleared. Dessert was on its way. Gloria leaned forward, voice soft. "Every family makes mistakes," she said, as though rehearsing a commercial for absolution. "But forgiveness is what keeps us whole." Derek cleared his throat. "I know I hurt you, Elena, but I love you. Let's move forward." Marissa dabbed her eyes, though there was nothing there. Elena stood slowly, lifting her glass. To truth. The word dropped like a stone into water. Ripples spread. Damian stepped forward, slipping a manila envelope onto the table in front of Derek. "Derek Calloway," he said. "You've been served." The room froze. Derek blinked. What the hell is this divorce petition? Charges of financial misrepresentation, property fraud, and collusion. See Section 4. Marissa's lipstick trembled. "Elena, what are you doing?" Elena's eyes never left Derek, leveling the field. She picked up a small remote and pressed the button. Behind her, the wall buzzed to life. A hidden projector flickered on. First slide, Derek and Marissa in the hotel lobby. Time stamped. Next, the keycard exchange. Then receipt for room 314. Next, Gloria's voice, faint and clipped but unmistakable. "Just don't let Elena find out about the trust fund, Gloria. She'll burn the whole thing down." Gloria gasped. That's edited." "It's your voice," Elena said calmly. "And your concern. For the wrong daughter." The next slide was silence. No one moved. Richard stared at the tablecloth. Marissa covered her face. Derek tried to speak but found nothing. Gloria finally said, "You don't understand how families work, Elena." "No?" Elena replied, stepping back. "I understand exactly how this one works, which is why I'm done pretending it's worth saving." She looked to Jade, who nodded once. "You all smiled while I drowned. Now watch me breathe while you burn." The house of cards didn't collapse. I tore it down one forged signature at a time. The buzz of the microphone was barely audible over her own breathing. Elena sat in the dim little room, headphones snug, laptop open to a single line of waveform. The red recording light blinked like a heartbeat. Across from her, Jade adjusted the levels, then gave a thumbs up. She took a breath. "This is Blood is Not Justice, where the family you're born into isn't always the one that deserves your silence." Her voice was low, calm, a blade sheathed in velvet. By the end of the 22-minute pilot, her inbox had started to ping. By the second day, the podcast had cracked Apple's top 10 in the true story category. By the end of the week, tabloids were quoting her without knowing her name. She signed the credits simply, E.H. Early July came in thick and hot like tension. Elena's apartment was a fortress of calm sunlight through linen ceramic mugs in neat rows, documents sorted in color-coded folders. The world outside spun in chaos, but she moved through it like a metronome. Damien had sent the report that morning. Derek Calloway, embezzlement confirmed $63,400 misappropriated from joint marital assets over 16 months. Evidence attached. She didn't flinch, just saved the PDF into the legal subfolder, then flagged it for her attorney. By 3 p.m., the headlines were live corporate advisor fired amid allegations of financial fraud. Spokesperson declines comment. Derek's accounts were frozen by court order. His firm scrubbed him from their website within hours. That same day, Marissa's boutique posted a note on Instagram. We're temporarily closed for renovations and exciting updates. Stay tuned. The updates turned out to be creditors lining up outside her West Side storefront. Someone had traced $18,000 in anonymous transfers from an unregistered family trust. Gloria. Elena's phone rang that evening. Blocked ID. She didn't answer. An hour later, an email appeared, subject line from your mother. Attached a PDF scan of a handwritten letter. I never wanted this. I just didn't want you to suffer. I thought if you could forget, you could move forward. Families protect each other. You used to understand that. There was no signature. Elena forwarded the file to Damien, then emptied her inbox. Jade slid a steaming coffee across the kitchen island. It's going viral. People are dissecting every line you said in that podcast. Elena gave a slight smile. Let them. I didn't say anything that wasn't true. Jade hesitated. You okay? Elena nodded. I'm clean. That's enough for now. Her phone buzzed again, this time a voicemail. From Marissa. She almost deleted it on instinct, but something in her chest tightened curiosity or cruelty she didn't know. She tapped play. Marissa's voice was shaky, damp with practiced sorrow. I didn't mean to take him. I just wanted to feel special for once. You always had everything. The career, the control, Mom's pride. I just wanted something for myself. I didn't know how far it would go. Click. No apology. No truth. Just an echo of excuses. Elena stared at the screen, then deleted the message. No reply. No closure offered. None owed. She stood, stretched, walked to the window where the light touched the edge of the glass like a promise of clean things. A future washed of gaslight and pretense. She picked up her phone and opened the podcast app. Over 200,000 downloads. New reviews pouring in. Episode 1 wrecked me. Whoever EH is, thank you for not staying silent. This is what justice sounds like. She didn't smile, but something inside her steadied, rooted deeper. You don't get to cry now. You were laughing when I begged for the truth. My real inheritance wasn't money. It was silence. I chose to burn it. The court was quiet, insulated from the city's usual noise like a sealed vault for fractured truths. Elena sat straight in the witness row, her hands folded calmly, a cream blazer pressed sharp at the cuffs. The judge's voice echoed softly through the wood-paneled chamber as Gloria Hartman signed the final acceptance of financial misconduct. No plea for pity. No excuse. Just a single nod before being escorted to the side room with her attorney. Derek absent. Marissa nowhere. Damien leaned in after the hearing, his voice low. He's under full supervision for the next 18 months. Assets divided. Public record sealed. Elena nodded once. Good. He handed her a flash drive. Everything we didn't use just in case. She didn't take it. I don't need it anymore. Her new apartment smelled like salt and lemon oil. 1 block from the ocean with white walls, pine shelves, and windows that refused to be closed. She'd furnished it herself. 1 table, 1 couch, 3 plants, and no ghosts. The afternoon breeze played with the linen curtains as she prepared the last episode. In the modest studio corner, she adjusted the mic. No script, no outline, just a closing breath. This is the final chapter of Blood is Not Justice, she began. I didn't record this to ruin a family. I recorded it to reclaim a voice. She paused. They told me speaking out would break something sacred. What they didn't understand was it was already broken. I just stopped pretending to hold the pieces together. Outside, a gull cried once. The ocean replied, "Justice doesn't always mean jail. Sometimes it means walking away with your voice intact." She ended the recording there. No music, no outro, just silence, the good kind. That evening, a knock on the door. Elena didn't expect visitors. She opened it slowly. Gloria stood there, smaller than Elena remembered. She wore no makeup, just a pressed sweater and old pearl earrings like nostalgia trying to behave. She didn't ask to come in, just held out a box. "Elena, these belonged to you once." Inside a worn family photo album with sleeves that smelled of attic dust and perfume. Elena flipped the cover open. Herself at 6 laughing. Marissa holding a stuffed bear. Gloria Young smiling as if she still believed in things. "I know I wasn't," Gloria began, "but I'm trying now." Elena met her eyes. Not cold, not warm. She nodded, then closed the album. They didn't say goodbye. Gloria turned and left, coat fluttering at the hem. Elena didn't shut the door right away. Later that night, she stood barefoot on her balcony. The ocean glimmered in streaks of silver. The wind carried the scent of salt and smoke. The photo album burned clean in the ceramic fire pit. She watched the pages curl, smiles and captions and holidays turning to ash and silence. No tears, no rage, just breath steady and certain. She stepped inside, looked in the mirror above her kitchen sink. For the first time, she didn't search for what was missing. She didn't wonder what was wrong with her reflection. She saw herself, whole, strong, unapologetically present. Forgiveness is not silence. Closure is not compliance. I am not their echo anymore. After months of silence and shadows, the truth stepped into the light, unforgiving, undeniable, and fully hers. What once passed as family crumbled beneath the weight of evidence, and those who had built their world on secrets found it collapsing in full view. Justice delayed, but not denied, arrived, not with fury, but with clarity. Like the last match in a damp room, courage doesn't always roar, it just refuses to go out. Because when a woman stops doubting herself, there's nothing left she won't burn to the ground to reclaim her name.